Every civilization believes it's the peak of knowledge. Yet every time we dig into the earth, we find something that proves we still understand almost nothing. Some discoveries don't just challenge history, they break it. Objects appear that should not exist, things that belong to no technology, no culture, no era we've ever recorded. And when these things surface, scientists don't argue, they go silent. Because the moment you hold one of these artifacts, you realize you're touching something that doesn't fit on the timeline of human progress at all. Today's story is exactly one of those cases. An object so out of place, so impossibly crafted, so far beyond the abilities of the civilization that made it, that even now, experts can't agree how it exists. It wasn't mined. It wasn't forged the way ancient metals were made. And it wasn't born on Earth. Before King Tut was buried, someone placed a dagger beside him, a blade made of iron that didn't come from Earth, not mined, not smelted. It fell from the sky. When Howard Carter opened the tomb in 1922, he listed every treasure: gold, amulets, jewelry, predictable royal wealth. But one object didn't fit the era: an iron dagger with a gold handle, perfectly crafted. Egypt had no iron smelting in 1323 BCE. Yet this blade hadn't rusted, it looked brand new. In Tut's time, iron was more valuable than gold. Egyptians believed it came from the heavens and called it metal from the sky. So a meteorite dagger wasn't just a weapon. It was a sign that the young king carried something divine, something no one else on Earth could replicate. The blade is slim, sharp, and leaf-shaped. Microscopic tests show iron, nickel, and cobalt, the exact mix found in meteorites. Even the internal patterns match the Widmanstätten structure, a formation that can only grow in space over millions of years. This wasn't Earth-made metal. It was born inside an asteroid. Scholars claim an elite craftsman shaped the meteorite without melting it. But that raises problems. Egypt didn't have the tools, the techniques, or other examples of ironwork from this period. So where did the knowledge come from? And why is this blade one of a kind? Some say it was a diplomatic gift. Others link it to Akhenaten and his solar religion. And then there's the idea that ancient cultures weren't wrong to treat sky iron as divine. It was literally extraterrestrial. Maybe the dagger was meant to guard Tutankhamun in the afterlife, or connect him to gods we've forgotten. So what exactly was the meteorite dagger? A royal treasure? A foreign masterpiece? A sacred relic? Whatever the truth, one thing is certain. Of everything in Tutankhamun's tomb, this was the one artifact not born on Earth. On the ceiling of an ancient temple in Abydos, there are carvings that shouldn't exist. Shapes that look like a helicopter, a submarine, even a modern jet. All carved 3,000 years before flight existed. They sit high on a beam in the Temple of Seti I, built in the 13th century BCE. People walked under them for decades, but no one noticed their strange outlines until clearer photos surfaced in the 1990s. Once the images went online, the world couldn't ignore what the carvings resembled. Seti I lived during Egypt's technological peak, but their tech was still primitive by modern standards. Chariots, wooden ships, bronze tools, no engines, no metal machinery, nothing that logically explains shapes that look engineered, not imagined. One carving looks shockingly like a helicopter. Cockpit, rotor, tail, landing skids. Beside it, a submarine-like form with a curved hull and fin. Another resembles a jet with swept wings. These aren't random scratches. They're clean silhouettes anyone today would recognize instantly. Egyptologists say it's a palimpsest, old hieroglyphs carved over by new ones, creating accidental shapes. The issue? Overlapping glyphs normally look messy, not like polished outlines. Yet the Abydos shapes look intentional, almost mechanical. Some think they're symbolic vehicles from myth, divine skyboats stylized in ways we don't understand. Others argue the resemblance is too exact to dismiss as coincidence. And there's the unsettling possibility. Perhaps the carvings depict something the Egyptians actually saw, objects they didn't understand but tried to record in stone. So what are the Abydos carvings? A glitch of overlapping hieroglyphs? A symbolic design we're misreading? Or a memory of something that shouldn't have existed in ancient Egypt? Until we find earlier or clearer versions, Abydos remains unique. The one spot in Egypt where a 3,000-year-old ceiling looks like it's showing modern machines. The Piri Reis map isn't famous because it's old. It's famous because it shows coastlines and proportions Europeans weren't supposed to know in 1513. That's the problem, the map is too accurate. In 1929, researchers sorting archives in Istanbul's Topkapi Palace uncovered a fragment of a world map drawn on gazelle skin by Ottoman Admiral Piri Reis. It was created barely 2 decades after Columbus reached the Americas. Yet it didn't look experimental. It looked like a compilation of knowledge far older than the Ottoman world. Early 1500s mapmakers were still guessing huge parts of the globe. North America incomplete, South America misshapen, and Antarctica officially undiscovered until 1818. But Piri Reis charted coastlines with modern-level proportions and details no explorer of his age had recorded. This wasn't guesswork, it came from lost sources. The surviving piece shows Western Europe, North Africa, Brazil, and a southern landmass with stunning accuracy. It contains longitude precision sailors wouldn't master for 200 more years. Some rivers match satellite data. And the southern coastline looks like an ice-free Antarctica, a condition Earth hasn't had for thousands of years. Historians claim he simply combined older maps from Columbus, Portuguese captains, and Islamic navigators. But this explanation breaks down fast. None of those sources had this detail, this accuracy, or any trace of an Antarctic coastline. Piri Reis himself said he used older charts, but the maps he supposedly copied don't contain the information his version shows. Some believe he accessed remnants of ancient Greek or Phoenician libraries. Others think he copied fragments from a long-lost seafaring civilization capable of mapping oceans before recorded history. And the bold view, the original source map might predate the last ice age, drawn when Antarctica's coast was still exposed. So what is the Piri Reis map? An Ottoman compilation? A relic of a forgotten maritime culture? Or evidence that global exploration began long before our history books admit? Whatever the truth, one fact remains. Someone knew the world long before the world was supposed to be known. Deep in the jungles of Costa Rica lie giant stone spheres scattered across forests, riverbeds, and abandoned settlements. Some weigh as much as cars. Some are nearly perfect circles. And no one can explain how they were made or why. They were rediscovered in the 1930s when the United Fruit Company was clearing land for banana plantations. Workers expected dirt and trees, not polished stone balls rising out of the ground. More spheres kept appearing, some arranged in patterns, some aligned like they served a purpose. The Dequis culture created them, a society with no written language that disappeared centuries before Europeans arrived. They built farms, canals, ceremonial areas, nothing suggesting the ability to shape extremely hard stone with near-perfect symmetry. Yet their spheres show precision that modern craftsmen would struggle to match using Stone Age tools. Sizes range from small, handheld stones to giants over 2 meters wide. Most are carved from gabbro, a rock so tough it usually requires modern cutting tools. But these ancient artisans produced smooth curves, consistent geometry, and almost no visible tool marks. None of the spheres have flat sides. Many are mathematically clean, almost too clean. Mainstream explanations include boundary markers, symbols of power, astronomical alignments, or ceremonial decorations. But those ideas don't explain the engineering. How they shaped them, why so many were clustered, or how they transported multi-ton stones miles away without wheels or metal tools. Some believe the spheres formed part of a larger ceremonial landscape. Others think they encoded astronomical knowledge or mapped routes across the region. And the bold idea. Similar stone spheres appear in Bosnia, Mexico, New Zealand, and Easter Island, suggesting either shared ancient knowledge or a forgotten maritime culture. So what are the Costa Rican stone spheres? Symbols? Instruments? monuments, or the remnants of a civilization whose most advanced knowledge vanished with them. Until someone finds a workshop, quarry, or instructions, these flawless stones remain what they've always been, perfect shapes hiding in a rainforest that refuses to give up its secrets.